Hello Pirates, today's test taking strategy is setting up a brainstorm page on your reference sheet when you start testing. So when you come in to test on the day of your EOC, they're going to hand out your test materials and read you a script, and in the testing materials is going to be a blank piece of paper that you can work out like Punnett squares and problems on. And what you guys want to do is once the proctor has finished the instructions and they have told you it's time to begin testing, before you jump into that test, jot down some things that you might want to use for reference while you're taking your test. And I'm going to give you guys some suggestions of things that I might write down if I were taking my biology EOC to use for reference. And these are going to be the things that a lot of students get mixed up with or they get wrong during the EOC. So the first one I might jot down so that I don't forget it, and when I start looking at multiple choice test questions it doesn't confuse me, is I might write down PMAT C. Okay, and this is going to help me remember the phases of mitosis. And mitosis is the division of the nucleus, and it is prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. And it also includes interphase and cytokinesis. And remember, this is a cycle, so after cytokinesis, it wraps back around to interphase. So those cells that divide are going to flip back around. So if I want to remember what happens in interphase, the cell grows and it replicates its DNA. The P is for prophase, when the chromosomes pair up with their sister. M is for metaphase, when they line up in the middle. A is for anaphase, when they pull apart. And T is for telophase, when I have two nucleuses. In cytokinesis, I'm going to have two identical cells. Okay? And those two identical cells will go back into interphase. All right? Another thing students confuse is they have a hard time remembering the difference between mitosis and meiosis. And this is easy to mix up because they both start with the letter M. And with mitosis and meiosis, I want to remember that mitosis makes the cells in my toes. It makes my normal body cells. So these are two types of cell division. And mitosis makes the cells in my toes. Meiosis is going to make the cells that will become my offspring, my babies. So this makes reproductive cells. It makes gametes. Mitosis is asexual. It's an asexual process, and this means that it's making identical daughter cells. Meiosis is used for sexual reproduction. And these cells are required to make unique cells and unique offspring. Mitosis takes cells that are diploid, that have double the number of chromosomes, one from each parent, and it makes those cells diploid because it makes identical cells. Meiosis takes cells that are diploid, and it makes them haploid. It halves the number of chromosomes so that the correct number of chromosomes are present in those gamete cells. Mitosis, there is one division, and that equals two daughter cells. Meiosis, there are two divisions, and when it divides twice, I'm going to have double the number of cells, so I'm going to end up with four gametes, or in females, one egg cell and then three polar bodies. All right, another thing I would jot down before I start testing the EOC is those chemical equations that get confusing when there's lots of options. So with those processes, one process I'm going to write down is photosynthesis. And the chemical equation for photosynthesis is that water and carbon dioxide go through photosynthesis. That's the process. And they are producing glucose and oxygen. The reverse of that process is cellular respiration. And cellular respiration is going to take oxygen and glucose and produce carbon dioxide and water. As far as the energy goes, photosynthesis needs light energy, and it turns that light energy into chemical energy. That's the sugar. And cellular respiration is taking that energy and outputting us that ATP, that energy unit in the cell. Now remember, we get more ATP when this process is present with oxygen. And this is going to give us aerobic cellular respiration. As far as where do these things happen, photosynthesis happens in the chloroplast. And cellular respiration happens in the mighty mitochondria. And it's the powerhouse of the cell because it makes ATP. That's the energy, that's the power. All right, again, jot them down before you start testing and then use them as reference on the test. All right, the other thing, so these are the top most confused topics, is transcription and translation. So that central dogma of biology, one of the big ideas is that the DNA is the genetic code to make a living thing. And the DNA goes through a process called transcription to produce the messenger RNA. And the messenger RNA goes through a process called translation. And translation is going to produce the protein. And that's the structures in a living thing. Now with transcription, what's happening is we're starting off with our DNA molecule. So here's our DNA. And in transcription, what happens is that DNA unzips and it makes the messenger RNA. The messenger RNA then is going to travel to the protein factory, which is a ribosome. And the ribosome is then going to produce the protein. All right, important things to know is that transcription is happening in the nucleus. That's where the DNA is. And translation is happening at the ribosome. Okay, so these are some big ideas in biology that you guys want to keep straight. And like I said, they might be helpful things to just jot down on your reference page after the proctor has told you to begin testing. And by setting this up, once you start testing, you guys can use this for reference. So, and like I said, these are the things that most people get confused. There might be some other things that you want to write down, but I know these are the things that are most commonly confused on the test. And you want to test really well and set yourself apart from the rest of the herd and be successful. So that is how to make a reference page. Reach out if you guys have any questions. Keep on studying.